So designing a great practice plan. Your practice plan is setting the tone for, how your kids will perform on game day. This is really the biggest key. So when I started coaching softball, I just got introduced to the sport of softball, but I had this football background and I had scripting and organization and video. I had all this stuff that was on my mind. And so what I did is, without even knowing all the skills to the sport of softball, I went out and I just read a lot about it. And then what I did is I put it all together in a practice plan. And so when you came to my practices in high school, we were just from point A to point B to point C. I mean, we were moving down the list in a chronological order, and everything was a progression. So it's really important that you understand that your kids are going to respond to that. They're going to respond to your organization. These are the things I need to know. So go back to the things to-do list and say, what type of learners do I have? Once you figure that out, you can group those kids together. How much time do I have? What kind of space do I have? How many coaches and players do I have? That's important to understand, because I know that all of us, we go out there and we have 20 kids on our team and it's just us as coaches. We don't have an assistant. We're taking care of our own field. We're doing everything. Well, one thing I always say is, there's a lot of retired people. You obviously can go out and you can talk to some people that are in town that has some background in coaching that can come out and volunteer and help out your program. The more coaches that you can put together in this environment, positive people, I think the more teaching that you're going to get out of practices. Figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. So I'm going to show you a template as to how you can write up what your strengths and weaknesses are. And then how do I begin organizing it all? The first thing you have to do with every single practice, and this is something I think everybody needs to understand, is have a dynamic warm-up. A dynamic warm-up is 10 to 12 minutes. I wouldn't make it 20 minutes. I would make it highly structured and in cadence. Have your kids understand everything that they're doing in the dynamic warm-up and what it is doing for them. Don't just go out and show them one day, okay, you're stretching this way or you're running this way, and then let your kids run out and run their own dynamic warm-up. I really think it's important that there's a coach there every day talking through the warm-up with them. This way, we're not having injuries and our kids are in, the best position possible to be successful that day at practice. They're warm and they are stretched out. You can find dynamic warm-ups all over the internet. You can go on YouTube and just Google dynamic warm-up and find good warm-ups and learn how they're run, what they do for you, and how they're going to work for your program. Here's one that you can use that I just found, and I pasted it on here, but it's definitely something that can fit into a 10 to 12 minute warm-up for your team. Once you've done that dynamic warm-up, I think you end up going into what's important for your program. And this is something that you do ahead of time. So you sit down with your staff and you're designing a template for what's important, what's urgent, what's not important, and it's gonna help you to set up a progression to your practices. What we like to do is say, what's urgent right now? What's most important to our program right now that we need to have in our practices? So we may say kinesthetic awareness, differential learning training, double play drills, first and third defenses, and situational hitting. Once we've called it urgent and important, we're saying that this is going to be a part of our practice today. And we will organize it into time and space to make sure that we get these things accomplished today. This list will probably change tomorrow. So we don't just get up that morning and say it. What we're going to do is actually look a couple days out in advance prior to writing up the practice schedule, and we're going to say, these are the things that we have to have in our practice.